Hello, hi, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whichever part of the world you're joining us. Uh, this is Naval's Hour of Code, and I am your humble presenter, Naval, again in the day 5. Today we have with us Ria, who is our special guest, and she would be explaining how chatbots can be designed and how they can make our lives simpler. Uh, Ria, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Thanks, Naval. Hi, everybody. Gives me pleasure to join this hour of code. I'm Ria, developer advocate at IBM, with a focus of IBM cloud and cognitive technologies, and have been working extensively on the cognitive APIs. So I would be showing you how to build a chatbot using the AI technologies, right? So
That's great, Ria. That's great. And so let me explain to everyone. So when we say about chatbots, and this would be coming into mind, like how is coding related to chatbot, and what has that got to do with AI? So whenever we mention that we are trying to interface with any other company in our daily lives, say if we are trying to track a package, you are trying to check how much bill amount you have been billed for, how much data you have left. We are interacting with 2 or 3 different enterprises and their IT systems. And code is the language in which systems talk to each other. And often we search online or use a web browser. But as mobile penetration grows, we see more people trying to use a messaging kind of interface, which is both interactive and vibrant and also very intuitive for people. So chatbots are designed using technologies of your choice. You can use a Node or a Java or technologies to create and host and deploy a chatbot. And how do they impact a sector or a business function? They impact almost all industries. They impact a healthcare, a retail sector, a banking, an education sector, and they impact all the business functions. They can impact a marketing, a sales, an HR, a finance, an engineering, an IT. So let me give you an example of how chatbots helped a US retail giant prepare very well for a large social event, say a Black Friday, and why not in the upcoming Christmas. So as these big days comes in India, we have the big billion days of sale by a local but very popular online vendor called Flipkart. So whenever these demands rise very quickly, and of course just because of the festivities, people are very anxious to get their products delivered on time, and they ask for the status, they ask whether the product is good enough or not, they might want to refund it, they might want to track for refund, they might want to return it. And to have a very good experience when a large crowd comes in to a website, uh, often having staffing more people is not a solution. So how do you have that scalability? The companies employ chatbots which can interact on the back end with their supply chain system, maybe with their inventory system, to track if the item is there in stock or not, if the item can be shipped or not, if the item is already in shipping, what's the status. And it basically helps you stay calm and happy in the hour of anxiety and enjoy the festivities. So if you are looking forward for a gift item this Christmas and you want it there in the stockings on the 24th night, don't worry. Chatbots are there to your rescue. They will always be there. You can ask a question and give you an order number or something, and they will definitely get back to you with an answer and status. So Adia, why don't you help us know more about how to create this kind of wonderful chatbot that can help us?
sure, Naval, thanks for that great introduction on the chatbot. So as Naval had mentioned, right, so how do you build these chatbots for your help, right? So let's see how we can build one. So right, so starting off, what tool do you use to build, right? So let me just do a Google search on the Watson conversation service for you to start off with it. Right. So you can see that the third link, IBM Watson Conversation Service, you can click on that. And if you have an account, well and good, you can log in. And if you don't have an account, right, you can sign in for an account where you get 256 MB free with your mail ID, right? So since currently I have my account signed in, so let me just go to the catalog and find the conversation service.
Yeah, and dear viewers, I will post in the details in the comments and in the notes section how to get an account. Thank you, Ria.
Yeah. So on the left hand side, you can see Watson. Click on Watson and you will get a view of the Watson services. The first service, a conversation service, is the service that you can use to build a chatbot, right? So it's a single click deploy. You just have to click over it and then give a name to it. So currently I'm using a default name. And once it's provisioned, the create button will become active. So you can choose a region to deploy. I choose US South, but for a Lite account, if you're using, it will be tagged to a particular region. You will have to use the same region as well. And then click on create. So the service gets provisioned in quickly in few minutes. Then you can see on the left hand side that there are 4 tabs. So if you want to use this service, right, these are all HTTPS endpoints. So if you want to use it, you can use it by the credential. So if it's not provisioned, you can create new credential. Most of the cases, it will be default, right? So here you can see the username and password of these credentials, including the URL. So the URL will change depending on the region that you use. The endpoint will change.
Ria, can you speak a bit louder, please? I think your voice is a bit feeble. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so now you can go back to the Manage tab and then launch the tool where you will get the tooling to build your chatbot. So you might be prompted to log in, right? Or else it might take you to the tool by default. But when you click on login, it automatically goes to.
So the IBM ID is same as my username and sign-in ID. I don't have to be an IBM employee to get an IBM ID, right?
No, you don't require to be.
Okay, so it's a sign-in ID.
Yes, it's a sign-in ID.
Okay.
And in the Lite version, you are allowed to create 5 workspaces, right? So let me just give you a brief understanding on what is workspace meaning. Exactly what you've seen here, a car dashboard sample, right? So this sample or this chatbot essentially targets the domains related to car chatbot, right? So how can you how do you use these domains and the intents, entities, and the works dialogues would be completely different from what you build, what chatbot you build in the other this thing. So let us create a workspace and let me show it to you. So let's say it's a travel booking bot. So the domain would be completely different from what we have seen here, right? So that's the exact reason why we need more workspaces, including it's a logical classification of each of these chatbots. So here now I'll be building a travel booking bot. What if you want to build a customer service bot? The domain would be completely different. So in order to make it less confusing, right, we need to create multiple workspaces. So you can have multiple languages. So if you select French, this bot will be trained to respond in French, right? So the natural language classification and all the behind the scenes will be for the French version of it. So you can choose one language for each of the workspace. So here I choose English and then click on create. So as I mentioned earlier, it is a logical classification, right? You get the workspace ID for each workspace that you create. That's how you call the workspace, right? So you click on view details and you get the workspace ID. So let's go into the workspace, and then it is a 3-step approach. At first, you have to create the intents. Intents would be verbs, the goal or the actions that you want to perform. So let me say you have a greeting intent over here, and click on create intent, and you can add user example. Say how a user might start off the conversation. Might start with a hi, right, or a hello, or a hey, right? So these are essentially the user examples that you will give for training. You don't have to explicitly train, as in when you add these user examples, it gets trained automatically, right? So once that is done, for best practice, you have to give 5 user examples so Watson can train. Behind the scenes, a natural language classification is happening. So once you have the greetings, right, now you can go to the next section, that is the entity. So intent was verbs or the goals or the actions that you had to do. Entities would be nouns, what has through what it has to be done, right? So in the entity section, if it's a travel booking bot, for an example, it can be a flight travel, it can be a cab, or it can be buses, or it can be different modes of transportation, right? So say modes of transportation and then different entities related to it. Right, so you create entity. So on the right hand side, you can see something called as fuzzy matching. So if this particular functionality can be switched on if you feel that a person might misspell, right? So here in the value name, let's say flight, and then synonyms can be, if I say flight, you might say plane, right? So both meaning the same. So that's what essentially synonyms means. Apart from synonyms, you can also add patterns. For instance, if you have an email ID, right, you need to extract email ID from the text, you can use a regular expression for in which you can add patterns. And then you can add another value of cab. Synonym would be taxi, right? You can have multiple synonyms for the same. And then once you have that, you can go back. So currently you have intents, you have understood the goal or the action that has to be done, entities, and then in the entity section itself, we provide you with system entities. So if you want to use any of these entities, you can switch on, right? So currently there are these many entities. Say here in this scenario, I would want sys date, location, number, person, and time switched on, for the reason that date for a travel booking bot, you need to enter the departure date and the arrival preferred departure date, and the for the departure time, sys time, for location, the preferred departure location, right? And for the person, the person who is booking, his or her name, and for the number, the phone number, if you want to capture the phone number, right? So these entities are required. And the next step would be dialogue, right? To create a dialogue. So once you click on dialogue, create, by default 2 nodes comes up. One is a welcome node and the other one is the anything else node. In the welcome node, the simple greetings comes up, if you can see, right? In the anything else node, you can see the default answers. So if in case conversation is not able to understand the question, it comes up with the default answer. So here, since the one of the intent that I had created was greeting. So let me just, so for each of these nodes to get triggered, a condition has to be satisfied. So if the bot recognizes greeting intent, right, it can respond saying, hey, I can help you with travel booking, right? You can add variation to this response so it looks more of a human approach rather than a bot approach. So once bot recognizes this, it comes back with an answer, right? So, and these are nodes, these are parent nodes. You can create child nodes to it, add child node. Or if you have multiple questions, then you can add slots to it. For instance, in the travel booking bot, you will have multiple questions to it, right? What is your preferred departure date, the location, the time, right? So in that scenario, to make it less cluttered, we prefer using slots rather than the child node. So here, let me just test to see if Watson is able to understand my text. So just typed hi, and it could come back with the response that I had fed in, and it has highlighted that node, right? And the most important part of this conversation service is where it is able to understand the context, right? So that's essentially the highlight of this service, where it will able to understand the context, and it can also save this context and send it to the application side. So if you want to manage the context, you can do it in the UI itself, or else if you want to use these context variables, so you can use it in the JSON editor. If click on three dots and open the JSON editor, over here you can manage the context variable as well, right? And then you can pass the context to the application side. So how do you, once the intents, entities, and the dialog is created, so how do you deploy it into your application? On the left hand side, you can see the deploy button, right? For currently, Slack and Facebook Messenger options are open, but if you want to deploy it onto your client side or into your application, right, you can use this API endpoint and workspace ID and username and password to deploy your application. So let me just show you a pattern where it was used in a similar way, right? So in the GitHub IBM repository, you get to see the applications that have utilized conversation service. So let me show you cognitive banking chatbot. Okay. Yes, so these are code patterns that we provide to you, where you get to know how to integrate these services into your application side. So you can check on developer.ibm.com/code, get to see lots of code patterns, which are easy to use and one-click deploy. So in this particular scenario, right, if you go to, this is a Node.js application which utilizes a conversation service. It's a cognitive banking chatbot. And if you click on app.js, you will get to see how they have called the conversation service. So
That's great. That's great. And yeah, I think it's written in the JavaScript, which I can quickly assume from the file name. And can you also, after deploying this app, tell me or tell us more about bot asset exchange and how people can contribute back to that once they have made something, and how that works?
yes, so Bot Asset Exchange is a new initiative from IBM where it is a crowdsourced initiative where you can upload the bots that you create using Watson Conversation Service, not necessarily the entire application. Once after you create the bot, right, you can export it. Let me just show it to you as JSON files, and then you can upload it into Bot Asset Exchange. So you can download it as JSON over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can upload it to Bot Exchange. So while I typed it on the Google search, the first link points me to that. you can go over
So
there.
is it like the Android App Store where apps are vetted before they're uploaded, or how does it work? Does anyone can upload it?
Yes, anyone can upload it you as long as you have that. So at first you have to register for it, and then once you get the permission you can upload it. So it's a crowdsourced kind of.
Good, good, good. It's kind of an app store kind of. It's very nice.
Yes.
So people who are watching this, if you have developed a chatbot after watching this video, do remember to go to IBM developer.ibm.com/code/exchange slash bots, or you can just search for IBM app exchange, asset exchange, uh, chatbot exchange, if I'm codebot asset exchange, yeah. And then you'll come to this page which Ria is showing. And please
You
remember.
can either get a bot or upload a bot. So
Great. So can you give an example? How can someone get a bot if someone wants to get a bot?
yeah, so assume that you want to get this bot and you just click over it, right? It will redirect you to IBM Cloud page where you have to log in if you haven't, or else it will just deploy it directly for you in the conversation workspace. So over there you can test it out. That's essentially how it happens.
Perfect. Perfect. So dear viewers, you are most welcome to, if you want to download a bot as well, if you want to create it, we are most welcome. Ria has already shown you the steps how to create it. If you want to download a ready-made chatbot, you can do it as well.
Right.
Great. So, Ria, let us understand a bit more. So now we have created a chatbot. We have understood bot app exchange. So how do any coder or any person who is watching this can get a badge, or are there any courses that are here? So would you like to take a shot on this? Or
Yeah, so Naval, I would pass it on to you.
sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure. So let me take the screen share back over here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see. It's okay.
Perfect. So just dear viewers, so IBM's Developer Works website has uh, chatbots related courses as well. So just search for chatbots IBM Developer Works and badges, and you would get to a page where you say build chatbots, or the best part is the fourth one. Let's talk about national parks. It's a 3 hour long course that you can do. It's a 5 hour long course. I'm not logged in at present. If you are logged in, you can start watching this and getting credits for that. And after completing each of these videos, there would be questions and there would be labs for you to test and try out the code and create. As Ria mentioned, she showed you intents. You can create intents here. She showed you entities, and finally dialogue. These are all here. So there's a gradual way for you to progress and complete these steps. And also you get a beautiful little badge to show. This badge is currently on display in my Twitter, or you can see those badges here. If you click on the badge icon on the top, you see all the badges that are available, and chatbot is one of them. So there are 11 badges in total, and the chatbot badge is this one, Chatbots and Watson. So you get this beautiful looking badge, and you can show this, you can share this on your LinkedIn profile. You can download this, you can share it on Twitter. uh, I'll show you my LinkedIn profile where I have similar badges and I display it with pride. Let me log into my LinkedIn here. So here is my profile, and you get to show your Great. So you get to show your skills and badges over here. Uh, no, not there. Over here in certifications. So you see all the badges that I have received, and I have shared over here. So for example, I have got a badge in cloud and cognitive patterns. I've got a badge in cognitive practitioner, and so it's a similar chatbot badge would be issued to you, and anyone can see the certificate and the badge by clicking here. It will take you to a page called your acclaim, and it will distribute, it will show you when it was issued to me. So for example, this badge of cognitive practitioner was issued to me in July this year. And so this is a great recognition for your effort as well. So I encourage you to watch this video first. uh, Try your hands in developing a chatbot, as mentioned by Ria. Then definitely go to bot asset exchange and try to develop, uh, submit a bot or download a bot. And definitely, also, if you face any trouble, you can ping me on Twitter, LinkedIn, all the social media channels, or write me an email, or to Ria, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And definitely try out this developer work courses on Chatbots and Watson, and definitely display your badges with pride on your profile. Uh, so that's all that we had for today. Tomorrow is our next day 6 of the hour of code. We'll have some new courses, some new badges, some new technologies for you to try out. Here is me signing off. And do you have any parting words, Ria, for our young coders, enthusiastic coders, how they should approach IBM technologies and coding for that matter?
Yeah, so keep in touch with technologies. There are lots of technologies coming up, right? So you have to be updated. So I wish you all the best and keep coding. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep coding. That's the mantra. Goodbye.